Being Human, written and recorded by Emanuel Ierna. Chapter 5. The Ego. When our species first began to develop, one can imagine that we were very in touch with nature. Like other animals, our instincts led us to intuitively have a deep understanding and acceptance for the life cycles of different plants and animals as a matter of survival. Certain plants would grow and provide fruit at certain times of the year. We had to be a very knowledgeable species to thrive. We were very connected to the earth and would take what was given to us, when it was given to us. Greed and entitlement did not exist. However, as societies grew, they led us away from this mindset. While some societies lived by embracing the natural world and had a great appreciation for life, others had ideals that may have started with the simplest of intentions, but led down a path that would inevitably change mankind. Unknowingly, as large societies began to form, their purpose and way of life shifted, and this way of being has grown to dominate all of the larger societies today. Primitive instincts decreased, and more importance was placed on the self. Societies began to promote and encourage this self-centered way of being by making societal classes and possessions into the purpose of life. This led individuals to be less connected to the reality of the world in which we exist. Instead, we began to be forced into a global conditioning pattern that has caused us to identify more and more with self-importance. The general tone of living seemed to shift from that of acceptance and gratitude to that of resistance and desire. When one is unconsciously living with the mindset that society has conditioned one to have, a large majority of brain activity used on a daily basis is wasteful, negative energy. Some examples of useless thoughts are thinking about negative past experiences, or negative thinking about the future, stress, worry, fear, anxiety. These toxic thoughts that run through our mind are rarely in sync with reality, or have any kind of purpose or usefulness. A large majority of our thoughts become wasted energy that have no direct impact on our lives. So, the question that we need to start asking are, why do we think so much? And how can we think less about the useless things that consume our daily thoughts so that we may make room for purposeful, meaningful thoughts? Within one human mind, there is a limitless amount of complexity. Our minds are constantly evolving or de-evolving based on the experiences we have and the thoughts that we create. There are two very different paths that we can choose as a species. On one side is the gift of consciousness. We have the breathtaking potential to raise our awareness and stretch our minds to immeasurable lengths. On the other side exists a subconscious, animalistic conditioning. It is a self-centered reflex that has been passed on to us. Values, identity, possessions, and judgment. This is the ego. We could define the ego as completely deriving your identity from the form. To the ego, there is a continuous search for purpose in forms, and acceptance from being in the present moment holds no meaning. Form can refer to objects, roles, mental structures, or people. It is a mindset that dwells in the past and the future with a false hope that there will ever be a means to an end of peace. Your ego wants to lead you on. It wants you to believe that after this or after that, or one day in the future, you will win and you will be fulfilled. But this empty fulfillment is an empty promise. Living in an ego-driven state is an extremely limited way of being. It is like looking at a sunset through a pinhole. You may see the sunset, but you are missing the bigger picture and all of the details that come with it. If you can observe the ego-dominated mental state in yourself and in others, you may have a great realization for the overwhelming amount of unaware, human-created suffering that exists. The limited time that your rare and unique mind exists in this universe will fall short of reaching its full potential with every immeasurable moment that passes if you remain trapped in this mindset. Many might think that this ego-driven state would exist primarily in places where there are limited means of survival, like impoverished communities or those that lack possessions. But this couldn't be further from the truth. It is much more intense and prevalent where people have more than enough to survive, where they're wealthier, or have many possessions, or have all their needs met. Many experience a great awakening out of that unaware state after a great loss in life rather than a great gain. But why is that? Identification. At a very young age, most children are taught to identify through objects, forms. This is mine, it belongs to me. These objects or things become such an important part of their life that the child begins to define who they are with forms. The concept is instilled in my mind that these toys are mine. Mine is the illusion that they belong to me. They give me a sense of self which helps define who I am. If the toys were lost, or if someone was to take them, I would be devastated and feel so much pain because I would perceive a part of myself to be gone, and I wouldn't know who I am. If you have ever seen a child have their favorite toy taken away from them, you would know this to be true. This same mindset or way of being follows us into adulthood. The only difference is that adults identify with things on a much different level, and their toys can be much bigger and more expensive. Adults also identify who they are with other people and memories, more so than children. This car is mine, that house is mine, this wife is mine, those are my kids. The ego convinces us that we need to have things to identify with because they make us who we are. The truth is that all of these conceptual things that we identify with have nothing to do with who we really are. You may appreciate their beauty or love them deeply, and there is nothing wrong with that, but to identify with them is to distract one from the true inner self. Who you are is not objects or memories or relationships. You are the void of form. Why do we begin to identify so strongly with things at such a young age? We are being taught or conditioned to do so by the people we interact with and the society that we experience. Many adults identify intensely with things, yet are completely unaware of this conditioning. I need to get this thing or that thing. They are getting married so they will be happy. I need all these clothes because they are me. I hope to one day get that thing. It will make me happy. They just had a baby so it will complete them. This is the birth of the ego, which promotes a false sense of self. When a child or adult lives with the illusion of having something, It promotes a false sense of self that can be taken away, because it has absolutely nothing to do with who that person is in the deeper sense. You may like or have love for the form, but it is not you. You are a rare and precious gift to the universe with limitless consciousness. So to identify with a simple form, be it a thought or a thing, is so extremely limiting. It's like living your entire life with a blindfold on. You just cannot see and appreciate all of the depth and beauty in the universe without looking inward with full acceptance. Some may ask, how is it an illusion for a child to have a toy? It is because no one can ever truly have something. An object may come into your life like a toy, for adults a car or a house, or even a person, a lover, a child, a friend, family. You may love this thing, form, but it is an illusion that you have it, because the object or person is as impermanent as your physical form. The form that you identify with cannot be with you because it is not you. The form, be it object or person, may be with you in the physical sense, but it takes a higher level of consciousness to see that all of the things are simply decorations in your life and not who you are. The voice in our head, the ego, can be highly addictive, habit-forming. A vast majority of people crave overstimulation. Objects, past, future, thoughts, feelings, noise, because we have been conditioned our entire lives to do so. Many of us have had the noise in our heads for nearly our entire lives and aren't aware of its existence. We unconsciously accept this noise as a part of our life because it is all we know. Loud music, expensive cars, flashy clothes, social media, jewelry. Society encourages us to want these things in order to be fulfilled, which is the way of the ego. When you are able to be aware that the ego craves overstimulation, you can see that living in this state desensitizes you to the immeasurable amount of life existing at any given moment. It limits our ability to be present and truly appreciate the reality of life because we are so distracted by the delusional reality that exists in our minds. The vast majority are missing out on what's going on around them right now, because they're filling their heads with so much noise. Things or forms can never be a part of who we are, because they are apart from who we are. Forms constantly move into our life and out of our life. Some forms may stay in your life for a majority of it, which would lead one to identify with the object or person, because it has always been with them, so it's like who they are. But they do not make us who we are. If you can be aware of that idea, then you will find that there is never a moment when things should take priority or be more valuable than life experiences. The happiness that comes from a form is temporary and is based in the ego. What makes us who we truly are is not a physical form. It is not a goal, and it is not our memories. You may say, but memories are a part of me and have conditioned me to react a certain way. That may be true, but if you are reacting from your memories, then it is coming from your conditioned mindset, which is a non-conscious way of being. If you could release the thought process beyond the conditioning, you would be left with the true you, your spirit, your presence, your awareness of the inner you is consciousness. That is what makes you who you are, free from suffering. All of the other things your body, your partner, your family, your stuff. They only cloud and dilute the true you if you chose to identify with them. It is possible to have things in your life and not be conditioned to identify with them or consumed with them. It is possible if you choose to only see them for what they are, as forms that function with a purpose and have no connection to who you are. But having many things can distract you from living authentically. It takes great awareness to see that the ego will continuously attempt to identify with forms and create resistance, attachment, and judgment. This is the way of the ego, to live exclusively through the past memories or through the future anticipation. To the ego, the present moment has little value. This creates a constant preoccupation with the past and the future, two concepts that have little to no effect on reality. It only takes the awareness of this obsession to see it in one's self and to observe this pattern in the world. Current society holds these values of the past and the future at its core. The media thrives on surrounding us in a perpetual stream of noise that resists peace and acceptance of the present moment. For most people, the concept of the past creates the illusion of an identity. You believe your memories define you. Meanwhile, the concept of the future holds the promise of feeling complete, that there are things in life you must accomplish to feel fulfilled. Both of these are delusions of the mind. The past is an illusion because when compared to the present moment, it can more accurately be described as a dream. Thoughts about the past have no effect on the present moment. They are just thoughts. It is true that the past conditioning can lead you to react a certain way in the moment. However, through deep inner awareness and recognizing how you have been conditioned in your life, you can evolve to release your attachment to the past in order to make rational decisions from a deeper conscious state that is based in the present moment. The future is more of an illusion than the past because it is a thought that has never taken place. Thoughts about the future should have no influence on the present moment. It is true that you can plan practical things to do and follow through with them. However, the future with which the ego is preoccupied is separate from practicality and purpose. It comes from a place of repetitive thoughts that have identity at its core. It promotes the insanity of always anticipating the next thing in life by worrying or wishing for something to change. The future is an ego-created madness with which humanity has been cursed. Hurt feelings are a chosen reaction and not a rational, effective response to what is encountered. This is true if you are feeling angry, depressed, afraid, hurt, or sad. Hurt feelings are only the ego generating thoughts from the past or a perception of the future. This gives your ego something to label or identify with, which desensitizes the spirit or inner you. By labeling yourself, you become an object, a victim. I am a sad person because I had traumatic experiences. I have an illness and one day it may kill me. In both examples, people are creating problems, and again, all problems are delusions of the mind. Focusing your thoughts on the past or the future has no effect on the present moment. If you're under the illusion of the ego that a problem exists, you have two choices. Either a situation needs to be dealt with in this moment, or you must allow for complete acceptance and peace and flow in this moment. When you create a problem, which is a mental delusion, dis-ease from the present moment, you are creating pain. We can decide to live in the now and not create mental problems by being at ease, at peace. By doing so, you are choosing to live free from mental pain. Simply deal with what arises by an action, or allow for acceptance and peace, inner peace. Bad feelings fuel the ego and generally have very little effect on the present moment. As you become aware of this mindset, you may notice it in others. By avoiding the present moment, you can never feel completely at peace in this powerful moment of now. In this state of mind, there seem to always be excuses for false hopes. If I just get that job, or after the next month things will get better, or once I meet the right partner. Ego is a lack of presence with the intention to lead you on. It thrives on the idea that after this or after that, one day in the future you will find a feeling of completeness. Completeness is always with you, but you must look within to find it. When we let the ego take control, we find misleading and empty promises that many spend their entire lives consumed with seeking to fulfill in these cycles. They are unconscious or unaware of any other way of being. Observe it in others, but know that the only catalyst for change that you have power over is to change yourself within you. The way you think. Let go of the urge to force your thoughts upon others, even if you perceive them as positive. Wanting one to change, not accepting, would be the way of the ego. Simply be the awareness, the presence for yourself to your full potential, and those that are ready for your insight may seek you out if they choose. Focus on the now. Focus on the inner self, as opposed to the past, the future, or outer forms. These thoughts diminish the ego and strengthen the deeper sense of self that is rooted in reality. Release non-practical, maddening thoughts about the past and future to truly appreciate now, this moment, this breath is all there ever is. At any given moment, there are an infinite amounts of beautiful, imperfect perfections of the universe to observe and interact with in this moment.